There, wouldn't you?
There has been some weird things in my life, but yeah, I'm not scared to share any of them.
Good stuff. Okay, mate, we're on. Welcome. Thanks for joining me on this Sunday morning, mate.
Thank you very much for inviting me on, Paul, as well. Where are we streaming live anyway, mate? So I'll share this quickly now.
We are on Facebook, Facebook and YouTube. We are
Facebook and YouTube. Hello, Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, I'd do Clubhouse if I knew how to do it, but I don't.
Yeah. I'm not on Clubhouse as much anymore. I found the reach has really been restricted. So yeah, I go on there a bit, but not as much as I was before.
Yeah. Love it. Welcome, mate. I want to kick it off. So this is going to be, we're starting a new podcast in the new year, and I just wanted to do this a bit of a warm up for you, for me, for everybody, sort of what this is going to be all about. I want to start this podcast. So we're calling it Real Talk because I'm sick of the fucking bullshit that's out there, as I know that you are. So if we can get into that and sort of rant about it if we need to, share thoughts, feelings, etc. So I'm going to kick off, mate, with fucking trolls, internet trolls in general. Okay, I swear to God that every single one of these people, right, they live in their parents' basements and they throw one off the wrist to Sesame Street every day. If I think about a troll, that's what I think about. That's how I think that they look. Correct me if I'm wrong. But don't you think there's a real fine line between someone with a different opinion to you and a troll?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, difference of opinion is good. We sometimes differ opinion, and you rightly said it before. It's actually made us bond and get closer together. You know, I think there's a healthy difference of opinion, and there is outright just sort of trolling. And the point, which does me, is if somebody don't agree with your opinion, it's fine. I think, you know, like you just got to go. Okay, we agree to disagree. I just don't agree with that. Where when you get offensive, like if somebody don't agree with you, I think that's when people cross that line for me. But yeah, there is a fine line between it, but there is a lot of trolls out there today. I think Facebook and Instagram seems to be the most friendliest place for me. What platforms do you find it the worst with?
Fucking LinkedIn, believe it or not.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I get it because I wanted to come onto this a bit later on, but we'll do it now as I've brought it up.
Yeah.
If I go on LinkedIn and I'm most comfortable on Facebook, and I don't know why we have this like boundary around which media we can, which social platform we can put what kind of media on. But if I go on LinkedIn and do what they deem to be a Facebook style post, I get fucking battered. Like, keep that shit for Facebook. Keep that shit. That shit's for Facebook. And I go, who wrote these fucking rules?
Yeah, do you know what? I've never played much around with LinkedIn, to be fair. Again, it's weird, isn't it? Facebook has always been my kind of safety ground, and it's only been this year that I've been stepping my toe out into a few other arenas and realising, oh, wow, there is a bit of a bigger world outside of Facebook. To be fair, Facebook forced me. The algorithm had a switch and the beginning of the year, and it really suppressed what I was doing. So I was like, okay, like I'm either going to be talking to myself all the time every day here at the moment, or I'm going to have a look around elsewhere.
Yeah. So going with these, with the trolling thing, and what's the best one you've had?
The best one I've had? I don't know.
I had this guy. Why you think about it, mate? I had this guy.
Yeah.
As you know, I stopped drinking just over 3 years ago now. Just three and a half years ago, I quit the booze, beat alcoholism, and touched a drop since.
Yeah, well done.
And somebody went on my old pictures in my profile, and they must have gone back like 10 years because I had no hair. So yeah, it would have been at least 10 years ago. And they'd got a picture of me at a rugby match drinking a pint. They took a picture of it and wrote bullshitter across it. Didn't think you I thought you was teetotal or something like that with a thing across the middle. What a twat.
Yeah, he's amazing. I'm not sure TikTok, you're getting some massive viral reach. Every single viral video you are getting a load of trolling on. So can't think of the exact one that springs directly to mind, but yeah, every viral one you'll get some trolling on. But don't get me wrong, percentages still work out. I was speaking to Rick Gannon about this a little while ago, and he was saying about how torrent the trolling is on there. But I said, Rick, you had a video that done 500,000 views within about 3 days, and there was 20,000 likes and 500 comments. And a small percentage of them comments were trolls. So you've reached 20,000 people at least liked it. I got somebody on TikTok the other day go to me, "Who cares, mate?" I said, "Well, so far 6,000 people have liked this video. So of course I get everybody don't care, but if you don't care, just move on. Why would you even bother writing it? But at least 6,000 people care because this video's been up for a day and 6,000 people have liked it. So somebody does, obviously, and if you don't, that's fine, you know. But yeah, I can't comprehend it, but
I love that line when people say, "I don't care what anyone thinks of me," because you know, by virtue of you saying that, you do care what people think of you. If you didn't care what people would think about you, you just wouldn't say anything, would you? It would just be. It would just be.
Yeah, absolutely. And no matter how hardened you are, no matter, like, I must admit, obviously, when I first got to know you better than that, Paul, but when I first got to know you and I see you talk about Harry, I remember you wrote a post, somebody criticised something you'd done, you wrote a post and you responded to it and said, yeah, it fucking hurts. And it does, you know, no matter who you are, no matter how thick your skin is. And on the surface, I would have thought, oh, Paul would have just shrugged that off. But it made that feel more real as well, because you're like, it does, it hurts all of us. Some of us learn to deal with it better and navigate it better. And sometimes, like, your approach is fantastic. And when you just answer it sometimes like that and use it, it really, really helps. But yeah, no matter who you are, no matter how you look at it, none of us like it. We do care. Of course we do. Like you said, it's a bit BS when people say, I don't care.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. I have this thing. I talk about emotions a lot, and people that say things like, you know, I don't care what people think, etc., etc. And we are human beings, and we are supposed to feel every range of emotions. Like every emotion that there is, we're supposed to feel it. Like anger, envy, hate, love, all of those feelings, we're supposed to feel all of them. Now, for those people that say that they don't, or believe that they don't have any of those feelings, devoid of that feeling, I think that's the definition of a psychopath, when you're devoid of a feeling. I'm pretty sure it is. Now, you can't love something if you've never felt hate. You've got to have always felt the polar opposite of the thing that you feel to know that it's a feeling. Otherwise, that's just how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big things that hit me, Buddhist, like I studied loads of different things, not religious, but I get the points behind religion and I get the philosophies behind religion. And if you look at a lot of them, they're all pointing pretty much in the same direction. But I looked at Buddhism for a while and I loved it because it said like the 5 noble truths of all suffering. And you said like the biggest form of suffering is a unrealistic expectation on happy. Everybody's got this expectation thinking, look at that perfect life Paul's got, look at the perfect life Harvey's got, or look at this perfect life somebody else has got, and their expectation is everything should be squeaky clean and perfect and happy every after. And there's just and as you said, the 5 noble truths of suffering. So there's suffering in life. It's the way you respond to it, and you've got to have these ups and these downs, and bringing yourself back to these equilibriums, and that is just life for me. It's just look, it's no linear line. You're always gonna detour like an airplane does, or what when you're driving your car. If you drive your car down the motorway, you drift out from the center of the lines, and as you get more experience, you can recorrect that course quicker and easier. But when you're early, or if a lorry comes close to you, when you first learn to drive, you're a bit jittery and like, whoa, and you kind of move out of the way really quickly. But after a while, lorry comes close to you, you swerve out, you adjust back in, and you carry on doing it. So over time, you do learn to course correct quicker. Or some people do, some people just don't. They just expect, why is it me? Why is this crap happening to me? I'm just the unluckiest person. And but yeah, an unrealistic expectation on happy is the biggest form of suffering there is, I think.
Yeah, it's massive, mate. Massive, yeah. Unrealistic expectations. They're such a. You can apply them across business, across your life, across love, across everything, right? Yeah. I've read a book. The most profound book I ever read was by a lady called Byron Katie, and she's got a book called "Loving What Is," and it's about the acceptance of reality and not trying to argue with it. You know, like that's the quickest way to madness, trying to argue with reality. You know, if like when you're overweight and you look in the mirror and you breathe in, don't you? Or you're walking down the beach with the top off and the hot chick appears and we quick breathe in. Yeah, that arguing with reality is the quickest way to piss yourself off and all the rest of it. Yeah. Let's move it on, mate, to I'll share an experience with you, which is, and interesting. We've just been talking about emotions. This really fucking upset me last week. Last week, something that happened. I was selling a property. We're selling a property just now to some the friends of mine, but also I won't say business partners. So whilst they're friends, also they're also clients. So the clients in my training business and the clients in my construction business, and we sold this property to them. And there was an issue with lending, with the timing of lending. So they decided, right, we need to go out and get some private finance, to speed things up again, up. And they went in to get this private finance, and this guy appears. And sadly, I recommended this guy, which is the thing that hurt me. So I recommended this guy to them as a provider of the finance. Anyway, he backwards and forwards, and at the last minute, this guy backs out, like for no reason. He just went cold on him. So because I had recommended him, I felt obliged to reach back out to this guy and say, "Look what happened there. You know, these lads had this all lined up. They had this stacked up. Like the money was there for you. Why? What's happened?" Do you know what he said? "Can I buy it off you direct?"
What? Oh, wow.
Can I buy it off you direct? And he was trying to cut them out. What a fucking snaky bastard. It really, really, because I'd recommended him. If I'd not had anything to do with that introduction,
yeah,
I don't suppose it would have bothered me as much. But because I'd put these guys together and he came out with that, I was honestly, mate, inside I was like, fucking hell. And I could not work out what the con was, shall we say, until he came out with this offer. It was really odd. It really fucking upset me. And we was the thing where I wanted to take this was dealing with messes in the industry. You know, like builders that say they can do something and they can't, investors that say that they've got money and they don't, sources that say they've got deals when they don't. What's your experience of working with these types of people?
As in my experience on what side of how I've come across them, or how I kind of navigate that and deal with that.
Just tell me a story of when you've experienced a messer like that.
Yeah, well, there's just so many. Like a big part of what I do, especially when I work with other people, but what I also do with myself now is I call it qualify and disqualify. And the thing is, for me, I feel most people are not intentional messers. I think there's about 5% of actual snakes out there, maybe 10% of snakes. The unfortunate thing, though, is that 90% or not, I don't know exact statistic, I'm guessing this, but out of the 90% of people that I think have got good intentions, only about maybe 5% of them can deliver on them intentions. And I feel most people are undeliverable. Like the guy you just said there, that's just a genuine snake, you know? But,
yeah, I never thought of it like that. I like that.
But I think the rest of the people just are not experienced or skilled on delivering what they want to deliver on. The amount of builders I've worked with, I think they're genuine people, but they just haven't been skilled enough to but everything in sourcing, property investors, myself included. I've not delivered on things before in the past because I've just not been skilled to do it. But I think the ultimate test for me is dealing with them is the way they respond to it. If people, when I find these people and they justify it, because we've all got to learn. We're all going through a journey, and I get it. I'm always learning myself, and I often take things on. I'm still not experienced at, but I'll just hold my hand up when I'm not, and I'll take the responsibility of what happens if it don't pull off how I expect it to on the chin, rather than going or it was this and that was late and really trying to wiggle out from the excuses for it. So in my experience with it, I get it happens, and I get everybody has to step up at one point. I don't mind it happening. But it's just the way people handle it. And unfortunately, as I said, I believe most people just can't deliver because they're just not skilled enough in what they do. And one of the best ways I say to people to think about this is, how many bad drivers do you know on the road that are bad drivers? Yeah, but how many people admit that they're a bad driver? You sit next to a bad driver and they go, "Whoa, I just pulled out on me." You're like, "Really? You just done whatever you've done to nearly cause an accident?" No, it's him, he pulled out on me. So many people can't admit, they've not got the self-awareness. It's tough. It goes back to that emotional thing. Our brains are designed to lead us towards pleasure and away from pain. We don't like admitting when we've done something wrong. It's harder. Ego really steps in. But yeah, it's tough. But yeah, tons of experiences with it. I can't think of one that particularly comes off my head straight away, but all the time I deal with it. But I feel you have to qualify, disqualify people. I have a good, stringent list of questions. I've got my value. When I work with people, they must think, bloody hell, this is a bit like OTT, because I'll send them my values. If they've not got their values down, I want them to do a little values exercise. I'll get them to do a little test on Basecamp. I'll get them to do a few little bits just to see what their efforts like, just to see how they are. Because over the years, the amount of people, one of the biggest things I've found working with people as well is a little bit related to this, but not quite directly related, is people I find that are skilled often have not got the time, you know, like, so one of the big things that I find, like, there's major things to move forward to be successful, especially in business, like money, network, knowledge. But in the middle that sits there like a triangle is time. And you could have money, knowledge, network, like, but if you've not got time to implement that, then it's still not going to move you forward anyway. So yeah, kind of related to that, but a little bit on a side tangent of that. I do find when you do find them small percentage of people that are good enough to work with, often they've not always got the time to deliver what they're good enough to deliver.
Yeah, that must be a huge challenge for you, because so for those that don't know, what Harvey does is he invests in property at distance and carries out refurb at distance. And we have our opposing opinions on that, which was one of the reasons we already got Harvey on today. You know, for me, that's like an impossibility. But what he does is really well and teaches it as well, which is great. So that for you, when you engage with your build team at distance, what's the one thing that makes you go, this is my guy? This is my builder? There must be one thing that makes you go, yes, I'm in. Don't say fucking price though, or we're gonna.
No, it's not price. I'm not price driven. On some deals, I'm price driven. I have to be, and sometimes I have to be flexible on what that one thing would be with that person. Like, you have to just weigh it up on the deal. Like, in an ideal world, I'll give it to a turnkey. I'll give it to you every time, Paul. But I know it's smashed the margin out in some of the deals that I've got. I'll give it to a person like you, should I say, because you're not in my area. But it smashes the margins out. So I have to then suffer going down that lower end. But I suffer that, like, with awareness, if that makes sense. I know what I'm getting at that end. I know what I've got to deal with at that end of the market if I want to go price driven. But response, like, is exactly going back to what I was saying earlier on. Somebody that's responsive and responsible, aware of what their shortfallings are. If I can see somebody's aware of where they're at and they're not trying to sell me the moon, but what's the word I'm looking for? It's not responsive, but I like somebody I can communicate with, you know, like, and somebody like that like, you get some builders who walk in and they're just sucking their teeth all the time. Oh, I just want a positive mindset from somebody, a can-do attitude. Yeah. If I get a can-do attitude from somebody and they're responsive, then yeah, that works for me straight away.
Yeah. So when it comes to communication, I'll share something from the
That's builder. The word, communication, yeah.
I'll share something from the builder side. You know, the last thing that, like, you'd be my dream avatar, distance investor. Yeah. But when it's from the builder's perspective, the last thing that they want to be doing is picking up the phone and answering the phone all the time and sending videos and sending pictures and sending blah, 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 blah. So what's the happy medium for you? Like, what is it that you expect of your builder in terms of communication, in terms of how often, what level of detail? What is it that you look for?
So for me, it depends on what sort of job I'm doing. Depends on what sort of relationship I've got with them, you know, and it depends on what sort of feel I'll get from them from the get-go. If I, like, sometimes, look, in an ideal world, you get the ideal builder on the ideal day, but often the ideal builder, if anybody's good at anything, they're usually busy. You know, so this, again, it goes back to that time thing. Like, people that are good at something usually haven't got that gap in time. I remember you asked when I was doing some training with you before and we got on a call, and you said, what's one of the things you're challenged with? Is getting that lead time right with builders, because at the moment, the solicitors are all over the place. Before, it used to be, around sort of 7 to 12 weeks, like 7 to sort of like 10 weeks, we know we're going to be in that window, so I could prep people. But in that moment, some of them are taking like 4 months, you know, like, and even with solicitors I've dealt with for ages, just got a massive backlog. So that's been one of the challenging times. But it is all dependent on the individual person that I'm dealing with. If I'm dealing with somebody I felt like is competent, and I get that sense. I'm dealing with a builder at the moment that I felt is competent, and I'm not on him. If it's the other way around, I didn't think they're competent, I would be calling them every other day just to get a quick little update. No different to what I would do if I was local, popping on site, you know. So. And again, it is really independent on the person as well to try and get a feel for how they would respond from that. Because again, you have to read people independently. Like, if I was dealing with a U-Pool and I know I'd piss you off if I was phoning you every 2 minutes looking over your shoulder. So I would then bear that in mind of what you've fed me on the first end of it, you know. So I'd be like, okay, Paul showed me his program. Like, I've showed him my program's work. He's given me detailed delivery on the back of what I'm doing. So, okay, I've got a sense of trust from get-go. But if I show somebody a program's of work and they're going, oh, yeah, we'll have a look over that. And they don't kind of look over that. And I know I've not got somebody like who's better than them at that time. I just need to go with them. I know I might have to then like kid handle them a little bit more. And if it results in peeing off a little bit from being on them a little bit more, then it's going to have to result in that. And for me, we score builders with a rating system, you know, and 0 is we've got no data to know anything about them. Number 1 is then we need a replacement ASAP, but we've not got nobody else, you know, so we have to use them in this instant, but ASAP we need a replacement. And the 5 is the price is right, the reliability is right for us. That's a 5 kind of thing. A 4 is like they're either really good but high overpriced for us, or they're really priced well and they're really good at what they do, but they're unreliable. You have to chase them around. They don't turn up on the Mondays, you know. So they usually drifts into 4s or 3s. But yeah, it depends. I think everybody's all different. Depends who you're dealing with.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That scoring matrix is great. We use that as part of we've got Andrew Wotton-Jones watching on the live as well. Andrew's a quantity surveyor, and this is a big thing for them. When they do a tendering exercise, this scoring matrix that you speak of, you know, that is such valuable information for when you go on to your next job, or if somebody asks for a referral, you've got this. If it comes to this is a classic. I'll share this from my corporate days. When we used to have guys, builders that come on projects, we'd sit there and every week it would be 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, and there was like shit. But you really like the guy, yeah. You really warm to him. You like to have a pint with him. He's a nice bloke. Maybe got hot missus and all the rest of it. And then you leave it like 2 years down the line, and they've been kicked off the job and all the rest of it. And then someone says, "Oh, do you know anybody in the area?" And you think of the guy just because you liked him.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's dog shit. You know he's gonna fuck you around. And you know he's gonna be an absolute disaster working with him again. But you've still got that like, yeah, I'll go for it again. And you try again. You bring him back in. Now, if you've not done that scoring exercise, that's why it's really good information for moving forwards for when it comes to selecting your next builder and having that point of reference to go back to as well. It's really great stuff. So when you're working with a builder on a project, this is something I'm really passionate about, and you will have heard about it. You'll have heard me talk about this on trainings. Now, for me, the most successful, the best projects are always delivered when the client wants to work with the builder against the project. So the project becomes the challenge and not the relationship between client and builder. So we've got client and builder versus project. Now, I see so many people go into this space and they go in it with client versus builder. And it just becomes that. And that was the same from my corporate life as well. When the client's against the builder, when they're fighting like this all the time, the project suffers as a result of it. You still there, mate? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. I was not in. Yeah.
You froze then.
Yeah, did it freeze?
Sorry. As a result of it. Now, how do you approach yours? Are you a joined up approach, or do you always find?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. But it depends. Sometimes it does feel like the builder's against you slightly on different jobs. Again, the biggest challenge I get with most people, even with builders that let's quickly shut this door. I forgot to shut the door. The biggest challenge I'll get is the time. You find people that are decent, but don't know how to manage their time. So yeah. But that's my approach. Again, when going back to what is that thing that is that one thing. That one thing is how I can communicate with them to think again. How can we attack this? And it goes back to that sucking the teeth. When you get a builder walking around like, oh, I'm not sure about that, and well, you're gonna have troubles with that. And it's like, okay, this is not a trouble, is it? This is just what solution can we get to overcome this? You know, surely it's not the first time you face this, and let's get some sort of solution around it. So yeah.
Yeah. So being an educator, as am I, you educate people in property strategy and myself in the build process. What's when you see our competition, other educators,
Mhm.
what's the one thing that you see them do that pisses you off?
Sell dreams, you know.
Sell dreams, yeah, that's a good one. I'll share you mine. I hope you don't do this now. Now I'm going to say this. Is the fucking number 7 in the pricing?
Number 7? Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah,
No.
I don't.
That was the one thing when I set up. Was the one thing that I'm not putting in there. Like, I'm seeing a lot less of it now.
Yeah.
I never understood that. I never understood what that was about. Like 1997. As soon as I see that 7 at the end of that price, I'm out. I don't care how good they are. I don't care how good the content is, how big a following they've got, what reviews they've got. If that 7's at the end, I'm out straight away.
Yeah, and I find so many people, because of YouTube and all these different things, some people understanding the psychology things that people are using to sell, and it's a shame as well, because certain things, selling, you have to sell from time to time. Well, don't have to sell from time to time. If you don't sell, you're not in business. No matter what business you're in, you have to sell, and you have to use the strategies there to be to sell. But unfortunately, it's whether you misuse them or use them correctly. It is the thing. And there's a guy I was getting along with, and I know he's really against coaches, and I like him, like his content. He's right against coaches. We was chit-chatting, and obviously he's found out I'm a coach. He's just gone completely quiet. He's just associating me. I've seen some of his other content as well, and he's associating me to the stuff, and he's had a bad experience himself, which I get. But yeah, it is a shame. You do have to use some of the, you have to use sales tactics, you know. And unfortunately, whether the person's selling something that's ethical or unethical, you kind of have to use the same ones. But there is certain ones that really stand out like a mile now, isn't there? That I'm the same. I try to avoid them.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the one thing that pisses you off then in the message that you see out there that's not quite right?
The message that I see out there. I guess for me and relating to what I do is when people say as well, like especially the remote investing side of it, only invest locally. You know, that for me it makes sense. I get it. There is massive benefits of investing locally. Sorry, not remotely. And I do not discredit the benefits of that. But if you've only got like 30k and you live in London, you're not starting. That's it, full stop. So the benefit you're going to get of doing it local is going to be zero, because you just can't afford to get started. And there's people that say, oh yeah, go and raise private finance, go and lend other people's money. If you've not no experience and you've got to go and raise 300 grand to do it, if you want to do a BRR project in London, you've got to do something a bit bigger. You've got to do a big refurbishment. You can't just do a vanilla buy-to-let. And even if you've done a vanilla buy-to-let, you're probably going to need 6 figures. And that said, and you're not going to then recycle enough money back out to be able to pay them back. But then if you want to do something that's going to give you momentum and you're going to be able to recycle money back out in and around London and the Southeast, you're looking at probably a 300k pot to get into it with. I don't believe anybody should be starting on bigger projects like that. I think there's odd exceptions of the rule. You know, somebody who's been a site manager, somebody who's a surveyor, somebody who's been around it, or somebody that goes directly in at high level. But it bugs me when people say, look, I've done this, so can you. And it's like, it's BS. The worst advice you can ever get is saying, because I've done something, so can somebody else, because we're all very different. If you took I usually say Anthony Joshua, but let's say Tyson Fury, because he's just done his thing. But you take Tyson Fury, no matter how good athlete he is, and no matter how many belts he's won in the World Championship, stick him in a swimming pool, and he's not going to beat Michael Phelps, no matter what training you do to him. They've got different innate abilities. So when people say, oh, yeah, I done a HMO as my first development, or I done a commercial conversion as my first, use are exceptions of the rules. And the big thing that people got to remember is the main reason people don't get started is because of the mindset. And a confused mind does nothing. So the more you add to something, the bigger confusion it comes. And the bigger confusion it comes, the more you get overwhelmed. The more you get overwhelmed, the more you freeze and just procrastinate and say, it's maybe not for me, maybe it don't work. So you like when you study behavioural science, they say the reason people don't exercise, people buy exercise bikes and they catch dust in the corner. They walk past them every day. And it's not very difficult to just jump on that and do 10 minutes. And there's a guy called James Clear. He wrote Autonomic Habits. Fantastic book. He said there's a 2-minute rule. You want to start on things simple and then build up momentum to that. And the reason I use Anthony Joshua in this example sometimes as well is because, look, when Anthony Joshua won the Olympics, they knew he had heavyweight champ written all over him. But they didn't stick him in straight away for a heavyweight fight. And I see this in property all the time. It is probably my biggest bugbear, apart from the dream setting, is when you see people at high level stuff trying to jump straight into commercial conversions, jump straight into HMOs. And I'm like, no, get you to skill up. Because if you get a commercial conversion wrong when you've got bridging finance on it or private finance on it, that can bankrupt you if you've not got the resources, foundations to navigate that. You know, so don't get me wrong, there is exceptions to the rule. I don't say everybody should skill up. I believe most people should start out on a simpler thing, cut their teeth, get used to dealing with builders, get used to finding them, get used to scoring them, get used to the whole process, get used to dealing with brokers and everything, and then slowly notch up. It's not exciting. It don't sound as good as do one deal, become financially free. But yeah, that is probably my bugbear around that.
No, I'm completely with you, mate. You know, it's the old running before you can walk, isn't it? No, I get that. There's no way that. Fucking hell, mate. I did exactly that. My first property deal, my very first first property deal. It wasn't a deal because I fucking lost a load of money. So the first property deal that I thought I was going to get into was exactly what you've just described. Like I'd watched some videos on YouTube, and it was right. I can do this. This is dead easy. I'm a builder. I can split this up. And it was a library commercial building being sold by a public body, and it had planning permission to turn it into. It was 2 houses and 2 houses and 4 flats, or 2 houses and 2 flats? I forget. It was a few years ago now. It was 2 houses. No, it wasn't. It was 4 houses and 2 flats. That's what it was. So 4 terraced houses and 2 flats. And it had planning to carry out this work. So I was like, right, I'm in here. Let's buy this. It was on the market at 125k. I'd done some property strategies, some negotiation training, etc., etc. Got them down to 95 grand. So I'm like, fucking yes. Worked out a loose bill cost at the time, and I was going to make some good money on this thing. So I go to the vendor, put in the offer. And they turned around and said, yeah, we'll accept 95,000. And I was like, I'm in here. This is it. This is it now. This is going to change my life. So I instruct solicitor, sent over all the documentation I need for the solicitor. So this was all right. Great. How are you funding it? So again, I've done a bit of property training. Just get bridging finance. Yeah, because bridging throw money at you, don't they? Yeah. Went after that. That was an arduous journey in itself. Paying for valuations, paying for broker fees, etc., etc. I was about 7 grand in by this point.
Yeah.
Then I sent over the planning to the broker? Yeah, I sent over the planning to the broker, and the broker sent it to the lender. Lender came back and said, "There's a note on the plans. We've looked at the plans, and there's no front door on the building." I was like, "What? What do you mean there's no front door on it? This is like me just like going into this thing completely blind." They was going, "How are you getting in?" Now, there was an adjoining building, and the adjoining building was a doctor's surgery. And as it stood, you could get through the surgery and into the building, and that was their access. And I was like, well, if I own this, I can't go through there. That's going to be a nightmare. We need to move the front door. So I pointed this out to the people selling it, to the vendors, and they said, well, you just need to move the front door. So I gone back to the broker and said, look, we're just going to move the front door. Again, naive as fuck. Just going to move the front door. Turned out that this building was in a conservation area. So we gone to the council and said, can we just move this front door? Well, it's in a conservation area. It's not a listed building, but you need to put planning in to put this front door where you want to put it. Right, okay. So it was a communal area, communal entrance and little internal porch. So we changed the planning. Bear in mind, I don't own it yet. So we changed the planning and that was about another 4K it cost me to get this plan changed. Planning got changed. Everybody was happy. Broker was like, yeah, we're happy now. We've got planning, blah, blah, blah. Paid this architect, paid all the brokering fees and everything else. And then the vendor turned around and said, thanks for doing that and changing the plans. We're going to keep it now.
Yeah.
And I'd paid for him to change that planning.
Yeah.
See, now this building's beautiful now. Wankers. Honestly,
I've got 2 very similar stories. First of all, the first deal I ever done, I bought a parcel of land. I wanted to build 2 3-bedroom properties on there, and that was my first ever thing. And way above, I hadn't even refurbed my own property that I ever lived in. I hadn't even painted a property before, let alone done a complete new build. I didn't even know anything about even how you funded it or anything. I had a bit of money in my pocket. I went to an auction, stuck my hand up, boom, hammer went down. I've got this parcel of land. And when I got into it, I just procrastinated. Like when everything started coming at me, like there was a ransom strip there with what the council owned, and there was just loads of politics behind the planning and that. yeah, it was way above me. I ended up losing loads of money on this one. And another very similar example as well is I tried to take my commercial building and convert upstairs. Before anybody talked about rent to rent, I was taking on a commercial building for a sunbed shop of all things, because my mate had a sunbed shop and I have shiny penny syndrome terribly, and I was like, that will work well as well. And got this sunbed, I got this shop, agreed it, we got all our lease and everything in place, and the upstairs was an empty space. And this was years ago, I said, before I even done any property training or even been around that or even watched any YouTube. And we was like, okay, I could turn upstairs into residential and like rent it out by the rooms, basically. So I was renting this whole building, and the guy was like, okay, yeah, we're happy for you to do that, but show us what you want to do. Again, architects, getting everything in there. It got to the point when then the estate agent just wasn't answering the phone to me anymore. And I was ringing every day, because I'm into this now for like thousands of pounds. And I'm ringing every day, like, and the lady to the point where the lady on the phone's going, who is this? I said, well, you do not recognise my voice by now. I've rung you every single day. He's back in the office in 10 minutes. Like, I get him to call you back. I said, you said that every day. I don't want to give you a hard time, but come on now. Like, I'm into this financially. Like, can I just have an answer? I said, Joe, what? I'm going to turn up in 10 minutes down in the office. No problem. I'll be down in the office in 10 minutes. And at this time, I'll hopefully catch him. And I said it politely. Like, I wasn't being horrible or pushy to her. But this was after about 2 weeks of, he'll be back in 10 minutes and call you. And anyhow, I got called back this time within about 3 minutes before I got to the office. And he went, I've got some bad. He said, how important is the upper part of that to you? I said, well, obviously quite important. I just paid for loads of architectural drawings. I've put the pre-application in. Like, of course, I'm financially committed. So if it wasn't important, I said, well, what you want to tell me now, isn't it? Like, the guy wants to think my idea, doesn't he? He went, yeah. I was like, bloody hell. And again, exactly the same. Like, I dove into that, spent a load of money on it. But it's all learning, isn't it, I guess? But it depends how well you're positioned to be able to absorb that. Some people could wipe them out completely, couldn't it? You know, or it could wipe out their confidence as well, as much as anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it did to me. That was my first property deal that I was entering into, thinking that I was good enough because I'd been and seen it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. That was the one thing that pushed me into property trading, to be honest. I was like, I'm not losing that again. I've lost a fortune. And that's why I started investing in myself. That was the reason. Yeah. Well, I say it was the reason. It's the thing that made me pull that decision. Where are we at? 40 minutes, mate. That was a session, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate.
I didn't think we'd be on that long. I've only got 20 in the diary, but hey ho. What are you doing for the rest of the weekend?
Rest of the weekend, I've got some friends over today. So, yeah, it's a bit of relax today, mate. For the rest of the day, I've got one more bit of content to record. Seems like my life at the moment, recording content. But got one more bit of content to record and then relax. And yourself, mate?
Yeah, I'm just working. Yeah. I've got another 5 hours to do yet, looking at my planner now. But it is what it is, isn't it? We've got to do it. Yeah, we've got to do what we've got to do. Mate, been a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time on this fine Sunday, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me, Paul. Always a pleasure. I always love catching up with you. Love your views. Love chatting with you. Really feel honoured that you've invited me on to your new little venture. So thanks a lot, and yeah, we'll definitely catch up soon, mate.
I love it. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, Paul.